Welcome
to the Age of Awakening.
Please identify yourself. Enter.
Hey, Triple P Nation. Welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Dr. J. LaGuardia. And this week, I'm really excited to tackle a major issue in crisis, as a matter of fact, that's occurring in our country. And it just happens to be during I'm recording this during the Senate confirmation hearings for Robert Kennedy Jr., who is positioned to take over the Health and Human Services Department for the federal government. And he is focused on getting at the root causes of America's health crisis. And that's exactly what I want to talk to you about today. Irregardless, let's set the politics aside, right, left, middle. There's no politics when it comes to the health of our nation, and particularly the health of our children. This is not a right or left issue. This is an issue of humanity, saving humanity. As RFKJ says, this is the issue of our time. The amount of money that we're spending in the United States on healthcare exceeds every industrialized country by tenfold. We're spending more money. We spend more money on drugs and all other procedures than any other country on the planet. And we're the sickest nation on the planet. That's a problem. And I'm sure, because you listen to this podcast, the Triple P Life podcast, which is all about empowering your dreams, igniting your passion, and accelerating your prosperity, which is not just about creating the life that you want, the business, the finances, the home, the lifestyle, but it's about creating the health, the mental and physical well-being that gives you the energy necessary to pursue every goal and dream that you want. What does it matter to accumulate wealth and abundance, but not to be able to enjoy it because you're infirm with chronic illness, sickness, and disease? And unfortunately, that's a major issue in our country right now. So I'm excited to bring you this 3-part series that I'm going to be doing. And we're going to start today getting to these root causes. And then we're going to dial them down. The next week, we're going to be talking about metabolic syndrome. And yes, I'm going to get a little bit into the weeds because I want you guys to understand this thoroughly, but to the point where I'm going to give you actionable steps, but more importantly, to understand how we got here physiologically, because there's very specific reasons, and I've got the research to back that. But I'm also going to give you very practical tools to begin to reverse that. Because if you don't start implementing this into your life, again, whatever you accumulate in life, you're going to spend a majority of it at the end of your life. Just try to maintain or regain your health if you're not making the appropriate changes or living a specific lifestyle. Again, this is not a political issue. This is an issue about saving humanity. And we're going to get into the specifics of it here. By the way, I'm always interested in your point of view. I'm interested in your feedback. So after this episode, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Email me at drj@triplep.life or any of our social media platforms at Dr. J. LaGuardia. This is a conversation I want to have, a discourse I want to continue with you. And look, I have been in the health space for 35 years. I've been a practicing chiropractor for 25 years. I've been a consultant. I've been a speaker. I've been an author. Now, we just opened up a new revitalizing health and hormone clinic, which this episode is brought to you by. And the reason I did so, because I feel so passionate about this topic. I've been able to learn and understand this information for a very long time and watch it evolve and continue to learn and consume as the research expands so we can understand this to the level and the degree necessary that really can make substantive change for your health, your well-being, your future, every aspect of your life, and of course, for your family as well, too. So my mission is in improving human performance and human health. That's my mission. That's the mission of revitalizing health and hormones. I didn't need to open up another business, but we felt so compelled to share this information and give people um, an avenue, give people a place to go where they can begin to understand, learn this information, and then apply it utilizing proven techniques, proven methods that can reverse chronic years of sickness and illness. Because look, let me start by asking this question. On a scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate your health? 10 is optimal, abundant energy, sleep 7 or 9 hours a day, eat a whole food diet, right? Organic whole food diet, exercise 5 to 7 times a week, mental clarity, no brain fog. Um, or on the opposite scale, 1 actually is a step away from death. So take a second and answer me that question. So, whatever you came up with, almost to the point, the answer is irrelevant. Here's why. Because it's not about where you are, it's about your current lifestyle and choices that you're making. Is it moving you closer to optimal health and human performance, or is it moving you away? And so that requires some self introspection and honesty. If you answer that question as, Jay, I do some things well, but a lot of stuff I don't do so well. So it's probably you're moving down the scale, you're devolving down the scale. And the quicker you devolve down the scale is the quicker we move to sickness, disease, and ultimate death. If you're making a lot of really good choices, then you're enhancing your overall mental and physical well being. You're moving up the scale and you can continue to tweak and improve and learn so you can get to that point where you're feeling absolutely incredible, which, by the way, is possible. It's not a myth. It's not a dream. It's not some pie in the sky. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that doesn't happen. No, it's happening all the time. People with serious sickness, disease, cancer, autoimmune disease are making these changes to their lifestyle that's reversing these trends, restoring their body, restoring their physiology, improving their cellular health, reversing their metabolic syndrome, resulting in all sorts of incredible improvements and improvements in their quality of life. So it's not a dream, it's not a myth. It can happen. And it can happen for you as well too. So if you're someone who wants to get well, and if you listen to this podcast, I know you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here because that's what we're all about empowering those dreams, right? Giving you the tools necessary to take your life and your overall well being to another level. So you're going to learn so much here today and over the next few weeks. But share this with somebody because I know because just by the statistics I'm going to share with you here, when I go over the current state of health in America, you're going to know 20 people. So, what could possibly happen if you share this with them that might create a spark or inspire them to think a little different or seek out more information? You could save someone's life. That's how important this is. So let's get into the shocking decline in overall health here in the United States. So there are some statistics I want to share with you. Do you know, as I mentioned in my open, the United States spends 4.5 trillion with a T on healthcare. That's nearly 20% of our GDP. That means for every dollar spent here in the United States, 1 in 5 is spent on healthcare. By the way, let's clarify. It's not healthcare. It's sick care. We're spending $4.5 trillion on sick care. A small percentage of that goes towards healthcare. Now, yet outcomes are among the worst in all developed nations. You see, Americans spend $4.6 billion per year just on prescription medications. The United States is 4.5% of the world population, but we consume 75% of the world's drugs. Now, wouldn't it reason if this strategy was the right strategy, we'd be the healthiest country in the world? But we're not even close. Do you know life expectancy in the United States is declining? It's now down to 76.4 years. That is a 25-year low. And the United States ranks last among 38 high-income nations in overall health outcomes. We're a disaster. So why is that? What's causing that? Well, guys, there's this chronic disease epidemic that's occurring. As you know, because you see it all around you, 60% of the United States adults have chronic disease, and 40% have two or more comorbidities or conditions. Diabetes, it's really prevalent, and it has tripled since 1980. 40% of teens are obese, and 38% of them are pre-diabetic. When I was a kid, the number was 0. And it's not that long ago. Yeah, I'm old, but it's not that long ago. That's a rapid change. 42% of adults are obese. That's up from 15% just back in 1970. And 1 in 2 adults will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. That's a scary number. Get this one. Childhood cancers are at an all-time high. Do you see how serious this is? And sometimes it's better to stick your head in the sand and not acknowledge it and hope it just goes away. The only thing you're going to get there is these numbers will continue to rise. We have got to address this and deal with it and understand it if we're going to make any significant changes. So let's talk about mental health and metabolic dysfunction, which I'm going to spend a whole show next week in really diving in what metabolic dysfunction is, how it's wrecking your metabolic rate, your cellular health, your energy, and is causing you to rapidly increase your risk of chronic and severe disease. So here's a couple things you need to know. Depression rates and anxiety have skyrocketed by 30%. That's versus 11% in just 2019. That's 5 years ago. Nearly 40% of women and 20% of men will experience clinical depression this year. That's crazy. 4 out of 10 women and 2 out of 10 men. And testosterone levels have dropped by 50% since 1970, and sperm counts have declined over 50% in just the last 20 years. I mentioned this a few shows ago when I was doing a narrative show that it's now being reported by 2030 that sperm counts will be so low that we won't be able to even keep up with the replacement rates in births here in the United States. Why is that happening? There's a reason behind it. So there are 5 driving factors for decline. Number 1, you guys probably know, we have a broken food system. You see, there's been a rise of ultra-processed foods. Now, 60% of the average diet is from processed foods, or more than 60%. Now, we're going to get specifically on our metabolic issue on these, but this is the overall 10,000-foot view. Also, do you know there are over 10,000 toxic chemicals that are used in our processed foods and in packaging? And almost all of these chemicals have been banned in other countries. They include seed oils, which we're going to cover 3 weeks, refined sugars, artificial ingredients, artificial sweeteners, dyes, and so forth. And another factor that most people don't consider, our nutrition is depleted because of our soil. Modern produce contains 50% less minerals than it did in 1950. Now, the second reason is a sedentary lifestyle. As I sit here speaking to you from my desk in my chair, right? So we've got a lack of movement issue. The average American sits 10 hours a day. 10 hours a day. Sitting to your spine is like sugar to your teeth. The more we're sedentary, the more we sit, the more our spine rots out, the more damage to our nervous system, the more impact it's going to have on overall human potential. The second factor here is only 1 in 4 adults get the recommended amount of daily activity on a weekly basis. And strength levels in men have declined 40% in the last 30 years. It's massive. It's massive. The third cause is sleep deprivation and stress. 35% of adults get less than 6 hours of sleep per night. The recommended amount is 7 to 9 hours. And this leads to chronic stress, higher cortisol levels, which is a stress hormone, of course, leading to metabolic syndrome, and guys, premature aging. The fourth element is environmental and endocrine disruptors. You see, plastics, heavy metals, are endocrine disrupting chemicals, or what are known to EDCs, which lower your testosterone and fertility rates. Microplastics are found in 100% of tested human placentas, testes, and blood samples. So where do the microplastics come from? They come from your food packaging. They come from the clothes that you wear, the furniture you sit upon. It's everywhere, and it's almost impossible to avoid. They're actually floating in our air. We're breathing them in. It's impossible to avoid. There's ways to mitigate that we will talk about later, but it's impossible to avoid entirely. Another factor of these endocrine disruptors is what's known as EMFs, or electromagnetic frequencies, that come from our technological world, our computers, our phones, so forth. And then the blue light that is emitted from these devices will impact your sleep and, again, your mitochondria. Your mitochondria are in your cell. They're the energy center. They're the power source of your body. So it's disrupting mitochondrial function, ATP production. It's why everyone feels chronically low energy and a lack of focus and their ability to sleep, which also impacts what's called our circadian rhythms. Our circadian rhythms, typically in the morning, they elevate, gets us going, gives us energy, gets started for the day. They remain at a high level, begin to decrease as the day wears on. And then in the evening, those circadian rhythms decrease, preparing our body for sleep. They're all completely disrupted because of these endocrine disruptors. The fifth factor is the collapse of a really important aspect, and that is preventative medicine. Again, it's the reason we opened Revitalizing Health and Hormones. There are not a lot of places where you can go to learn this material, but more importantly, to how to shift and turn it around. You can do it by optimizing hormones. You can do it by optimizing your nutrition. You can do it by optimizing and implementing peptide therapy. You can do it by weight management and health coaching and lifestyle changes and so many other things. It may sound elementary, but it's really specific, unique to individuals based on a comprehensive assessment analysis using many tools. So there are not many places doing it. You see, our system, this secure system, is only focused on treating symptoms. They're not really interested in getting to the root cause. Why? Because the profit is in the symptom. The profit is the reoccurring patient, the reoccurring client, the reoccurring individual that keeps coming back month after month, year after year, that's stuck on these lifestyle medications, these statins, these cholesterol medications, the blood pressure medications, these pre-diabetic medications. All these are designed for you to get on and stay on for the rest of your life. You are a massive profit center when you're on these medications. So there's very little incentive to teach people about prevention. There's very little incentive to teach people about lifestyle, about reversing the underlying root causes of these problems. It's just not built into our system. There is no incentivization for the medical system, for the sick care system, for people to get well. Now, are there good people in the system who want to teach this and do take some time? Yes, but it's very, very difficult for them. And here's the reason why, is because they work in these large facilities. The CFOs and the CEOs who run these systems give these doctors a very limited amount of time they can spend with the patient. So they don't have time to talk about prevention and lifestyle changes. They got to get in, get out, get them on the drug, get a diagnosis, put it in their EMR, get the diagnosis out, and let's bill it. And that's the way it goes. No one takes the time to sit down and to really deep dive and understand each individual, their unique needs, their unique physiology, their unique blood work, to have a comprehensive understanding of what is best for the individual. Again, that was my focus when we started it. Another important fact is only 3% of the United States spending on healthcare, again, sick care, is spent that goes towards prevention. Only 3% of that $4.5 trillion. That's absurd. Why is that? Well, the Rand Corporation back in the late, I believe it was 2009, they came out with a study. They studied Fortune 500 companies, and what they found for every dollar spent on prevention care saves $3 on active care. There's a 300% savings when people are taught about prevention and lifestyle. It can literally shift and change a broken model. And this secure system is a broken model. It's not just that it's financially broke, but its approach is broke. We're spending our time and energy on the wrong things, not mitigating symptoms, but the underlying cause that's creating the symptoms. That's why I got in chiropractic care. That's why I decided to leave. I was in school to be an orthopedic surgeon. And when I learned that chiropractic was about getting to the root cause of what was leading to people experiencing poor health, I said, that's where I want to go because that makes the most sense. And the next step is just the next evolution of that. Here's an interesting fact you guys probably don't know. A lot of medical schools have no nutrition education whatsoever. And the ones that do have fewer than 20 hours. So going to your medical doctor to get advice on nutrition is like going to your gardener to get advice on how to change your oil. It just doesn't work. So I want to talk about some proven health hacks that you can start immediately to take back control of your health. Guys, these are non-negotiable for health and longevity. And here's the fact. Health is not that complicated, but it requires knowledge and it requires intention. So I want you to start with what's known as the 80-20 rule. I want you to master the fundamentals first. So here's step number one. It's nutrition and the power of whole foods. The first thing that you can do right now is to eliminate processed foods from your diet, in particular, foods that contain seed oils and refined sugars. Here's a simple rule of thumb to follow. Foods that are found in a box, bag, or can are highly processed and contain those 10,000 toxic chemicals that are endocrine and metabolic disruptors. You see, they have to put these things in for them to have a long shelf life and for them to taste good because they're not live food. The old axiom is live food for life. If you're eating food that's never been alive but was made in a lab, there's no life to it. There's no nutrient benefit to it. So live food for life. If it hasn't been alive, it's going to eventually cause you not to be alive. So use that as your rule of thumb. Box, bag, or can. Next, what I want you to do is think about prioritizing protein in your diet. So we know protein is an important component to building lean mass. Why is that important? Well, muscle is the metabolism or is the fuel for your metabolism. It drives metabolism. Every pound of lean muscle requires between 30 to 40 calories per day to maintain. That's why resistance training is the number one secret, particularly as you age, to maintain and to continue to build lean muscle as you get older, because it maintains and increases your metabolism rate, maintains strength and flexibility, reduces your risk of injuries and falls, because one of the major things that causes people as they get older to be hospitalized are falls and fractures. It is found when people reach their 70s, those with the lowest percent of lean muscle in their body have the highest rate of hospitalization. Okay, the next one is think of eating nose to tail. What does that mean? Think about eating organ meats, which are rich in nutrients that we absolutely must get. And listen, I'm a big supplement guy, but if I can get most of my supplements from my food, my whole food, that's the best way to go. And therefore, then you need less to supplement with. The reason why so many people need to supplement is because they're eating such a highly processed diet that's devoid of nutrients. They have to take these nutrients just even to try to get them into a basic set point that's going to allow their body to function even in a survival mode. And then, of course, think of eating nutrient dense plants, organic foods. Try to hook up with organic farmers in your area. The best sources are local sources. The closer you get to the farmer, the more nutrients you're getting in the food. Same thing when it comes to if you are someone who consumes beef or chickens or pork. Go to a local farmer. Find one. Find one that does organic farming. They'll likely sell you a quarter cow, a half a pig, some chickens. Once you do that, you'll never go back to store-bought meat. Why? Because it just tastes so much better. And do you ever buy store-bought chicken? You know, the chicken breast like this big. How can they possibly get like that? Because they fill them up with hormones. They fill them up with all these things that artificially inflates the meat. That's not good for you. You're eating those, which also become endocrine disruptors. So go to the source, find local farmers in your area. If you live in a major urban area, find a farmer's market where you can access these foods. The next step is consider doing fasted or time restricted eating. Again, next week, I'm going to talk a lot about this in metabolic syndrome. What we know with time restricted eating, what this means in particular is, let's say you finish dinner at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the evening. You then fast all the way through, at the very least, till breakfast, right? 7 or 8 o'clock. So you give yourself a 12 or 13-hour window before you eat. If you've never time restricted or fasted before, start with that. And then when you break the fast, break it with a protein or some healthy fats, avocado, some eggs, even some organic bacon. If you can go longer, 14, 16, or 18 hours where you fast, let's say from 6 p.m. after dinner all the way till lunch the next day. It puts your body into a fat burning mode, which is known as ketosis. Ketosis creates a process called autophagy. Autophagy is basically, it's a roto-rooter. It cleans out the debris and dead cells in your body, which causes oxidation, which is a precursor to all sorts of types of inflammation and cancer cells and disease. So time-restricted fasting is a wonderful way to get your body efficient, to learn how to burn fat once again, and also to be able to clean its system out. What you're going to notice is clearer thinking. Ultimately, you're going to have more energy. Once your body becomes efficient in burning fat again, your hunger pains go away, your cravings go away. Now, it's not that you consume less food. So if your basal metabolic rate, which is the amount of calories you burn at rest in a 24-hour period, most people, the basic metabolic rate is between, let's say for a male, is between 18 and 2,200 calories in a day. So if you did nothing just to get up, move around, go to the bathroom, watch television, whatever you're doing, right, at rest falls with there. Females is lower, could be anywhere from 1,300 calories a day to 1,600 to 1,700 calories a day. Now, of course, if you exercise, your work is physical, you're cleaning the garage, you're cutting the grass, your calorie requirement is going to go up. So at the very least, you still want to get the appropriate amount of calories, but you restrict that to a 6-hour window. And if you're looking to gain lean muscle, you want to consume at least 1 gram per pound of lean body mass per day. So if you're a 200-pound guy, you need 200 grams of protein just to maintain. If you're looking to add lean muscle, you want to be between 1.2 or 1.5. So you can do the math. That would be 225 to 250 grams of lean protein per day if you're looking to add lean muscle. And again, a female, just apply the same formula. Again, lean muscle is your friend. It drives your basal metabolic rate. So again, if your BMR, and you can have this tested, our clinic does it. You can find clinics all over the place that will test your basal metabolic rate, the amount of calories you burn in a day at rest just to sustain, right? If you find out that your basal metabolic rate is 2,000 calories a day, you now have the formula to understand what an appropriate diet looks like for you and the amount of calories you need to be sufficient and the macronutrients necessary to make sure your body is working at its optimal level. Again, I'm going to dive more into this and our metabolic issue on next week. So make sure you guys check that one out. So let's get into the next factor, right? The biohack. And I mentioned a little bit about this before. And this is the strength training and the movement aspect. The key, guys, right? This is the takeaway. The stronger you are, the more lean muscle you have, the longer you live. It's inversely proportional. The more lean muscle, the longer you live. Muscle correlates with lifespan. If you're not doing resistance training right now, you're missing a major component to longevity and well-being. Now, if you've never done resistance training, and my guess is quite a few haven't, don't worry. The studies have shown people starting in their 50s, 60s, and 70s who've never done any resistance training in their life, completely changing their physiology and their metabolic well-being by starting simply by doing band work. And then over time, they graduate and they increase and they start doing some lightweight work. And maybe they add more weight work as they go on. The amount of muscle you can regenerate is pretty substantial and they're really quite remarkable. So don't be upset if you're like, I've never done this. I don't know how to do it. Find somebody who can help you. You can go online. There's so many fitness trainers online that you can follow. Find a local facility. Consider hiring a personalized coach who can put a program specifically designed for you, because there's a lot of do's and don'ts. You can do it the right way or the wrong way. The wrong way leads to injury. And now you're down because you can't exercise, you can't work out because you did it the wrong way and you injured yourself. And that could be a couple of weeks or a couple of months, depending on the type of injury that you experience. So certainly seeking guidance from an expert before doing this, I would highly recommend. The basic recommendations is you want to do resistance training between 3 to 5 times per week for optimal metabolic health and optimal hormone optimization. We get people coming to our clinic who want to do hormone optimization and we start them. But we will not start them if they don't commit to doing some sort of resistance training. Because in of itself, hormone replacement won't replace the muscle that you've lost. Because as you turn 50, you're going to lose a half a pound per year of lean muscle if you're not actively working with some sort of resistance training to maintain lean muscle. So this is just normal what happens over time. Again, there's ways to mitigate by putting a proper plan in place. So we make sure that our clients commit to doing some resistance training because the results that they get with their hormone optimization plus resistance training is 5-fold better. The results are remarkable. And it's fun to see the changes that they experience. They're just absolutely thrilled with it. Now, another thing you can do is just daily movements. Just walking 8 to 10,000 steps per day, mobility work, yoga, flexibility, particularly in zone 2 of cardio. What does that mean? Well, zone 1 would be basically you're sitting in a chair. Zone 2 is you're, washing the dishes, taking a dog for a walk, cutting the grass. You're moving, but you can still move and talk at the same time. Zone 3 is where you're now exercising. It's getting a little tougher to talk. You can talk. Zone 4, it's almost impossible to talk. And zone 5 is you're so out of breath, you're going to fall over, right? Now, the zone 5, particularly when you're doing HIIT workouts, are supposed to be very short bursts. Sometimes it could be as short as 10 seconds, as long as 30 to 40 seconds. And then you stop, you recover, you get back to normal, and you hit that target again. You do that once or twice a week. Really, once a week is more than sufficient to take your VO2, your cardio to a whole new level. But honestly, if you just did zone 2 and zone 2 only, your results with your exercise routine will dramatically increase. So you don't have to get crazy about it. You don't have to go over the top about it. If you just have a plan in place, resistance training and daily movement, 8 to 10 or even 12,000 steps a day, you are going to see a major change in your physical and mental well-being and, of course, your metabolic health. Then, of course, if you're exercising, you're eating right, you've got to set time aside appropriately to rest and recover. So we talked about the sleep numbers. 35% of adults don't even reach 7 hours of sleep per night. this is a disaster for long-term well-being. We've got to make sure we get that 7 to 9 hours per sleep every single night. Particularly, you want that room to be very dark, no ambient light. You want it to be cool, if not cold. I love it cold. My wife doesn't like it. We fight about this, but it's okay because even she acknowledges, put a couple blankets on. She does sleep better in a cooler, colder room than she does in a warmer room because your body temperature is going to decrease as you go through different phases of sleep. And it's supposed to be that way, which kicks in the repair and recovery through your brain, your central nervous system. If it's too warm, it becomes very, very difficult to do that. No ambient light, no devices, guys, no devices. Don't have a router in your bedroom. And if you can possibly do it, they now have these devices where you can turn your router or your internet off at night. It goes on a timer. So where, let's say at 11 p.m., ours goes off, it comes back on at 5:30 p.m. So there's no electromagnetic frequencies in our home during those times. Or if there are, they're very, very minimal by shutting off your router system, which is important because EMFs disrupt sleep, disrupts your cellular function and your brain function. So we want to mitigate that, particularly at night when our body's healing and repairing. So a device-free room. Well, Jay, how am I going to wake up? I need my phone next to my bed so I can, hear my alarm. Well, two things you can do. There are apps where you can run an alarm and turn your phone off, put it on airplane mode so it's not emitting electromagnetic frequencies. What I like to do is put it in our bathroom, which is off our bedroom. So when it goes up, it forces me to get up and turn it off. Now, another hack. In the morning, get your butt outside, get some sunlight. I can't emphasize enough how important sunlight is to overall mental and physical well-being. Of course, just feeling the rays, the warm rays on your sun, just makes you feel better, gives you more energy. But of course, sunlight activates vitamin D3 through your skin for the production of melanocytes. And melanocytes, right, is going to drive that D3 up, which is going to enhance your immune system, reduce your risk of many different types of cancers, reduce your risk of colds, flus, and infections, and a variety other benefits, the vitamin D3. I've talked about it so many times. You can go back on previous episodes and check that out. But make sure you're getting sunlight. And if you can't do it in the morning, go out in the afternoon. Get in the afternoon. The ideal time to benefit from sunlight to mitigate the risk from the damage of the sunlight is between 10 and noon. The sun is strong enough, particularly in the summer. The sun is strong enough and you're getting the UVB rays necessary to activate the vitamin D3. And then in the evening, embrace the darkness, right? Minimize the lights in your home. Certainly, fluorescent lights, which are disrupting as well. When darkness begins to set in, your body will begin to elevate its melatonin, which means it's preparing our physiology for sleep, repair, and recovery. So if we have all these lights out, all this noise going on, this is going to affect our circadian rhythms because our eyes, which is perceiving the light, is not changing. So we don't want all this bright artificial light. We want to begin to diminish the light because as the light decreases through our eyes, then we get the melatonin production to prepare our body to sleep. And then, of course, this is a no-brainer. Avoid screens, guys. The blue light from screens is atrocious. You want to do this commit to a minimum of 1 hour before bed. I would encourage 2 hours. That EMF from the screens and the blue light affects your production of melatonin, just as we talked previously. So screen time, mitigate that. Going to make a big difference. Now, the next step is hormone optimization and peptides. Let's talk about hormone optimization. What does that mean? Because of all the things we had just talked about previously, we talked about the endocrine disruptors of artificial sweeteners, seed oils, the 10,000 toxic chemicals in your food, the dyes, the preservatives, the glycophosphates, the pesticides, all that stuff is disrupting normal hormone production in men and women. It's a reality. The statistics are, you can't argue with them. As I mentioned before, sperm counts are down 50% over the last 20 years. We are getting at a crisis when it comes to birth rates in this country. In fact, fertility rates or fertility issues used to be primarily a female issue, particularly women with polycystic ovary. But now it's primarily due to males and low testosterone levels. You can elevate that through lifestyle changes. And if you're older, you can optimize your testosterone with testosterone replacement, getting properly tested to assess where you're at, making lifestyle changes, optimizing it through testosterone therapy. Honestly, you could feel like you're 30 again. How do I know? Because I do it. And I've been doing it for 3 years now. And it's remarkable. It's night and day. And it's a game changer in many ways, from mental cognition to clarity to energy to recovery from workout, libido, all those things. It's incredible when you optimize your hormones, just how much better every aspect of life is. The other thing is using peptide therapy. Peptides, you're going to hear so much about peptides coming up here in the next couple of years. It really is going to revolutionize the health and wellness market. So what are peptides? Peptides are amino acids. They're found in the body. If you have 40 or more amino acids, you have a protein. If you have 39 or less, you have a peptide. There's over 300,000 peptides in your body. We only really know about 150, but there's about 15 right now that are being used and in such an incredible manner for tissue repair, healing, growth hormone production. By the way, insulin is also a peptide. That's absolutely a game changer. Here's the beautiful thing. With peptides, it doesn't affect your own endogenous production of peptides. It only enhances it. So things like CJC 1295 and ipamorelin, cimarelin, and tesamorelin, and thymosin, beta 4, and BPC 157, which the FDA just took off the market. Why? Because it's so incredible for tissue repair and inflammation reduction. You can still get it via an oral. It's not quite as effective as a subcutaneous injection. But I'm going to be doing more shows on peptide therapy, the benefits of peptide, the risk of peptides, what peptides are used for, which ones you might want to consider, where you can go find out more about it. But put this on your radar, guys. Peptides are you're going to hear so much about it. And it's going to revolutionize the health and wellness industry, as I mentioned just a minute or so ago. Now, a few things that I've talked about in previous shows a few months ago that are really important and beneficial and easy to do to improve your basal metabolic rate, to improve the metabolic syndrome, the endocrine disruptors, is really two things: cold exposures and saunas. So cold exposures can simply be, cold showers or ice baths. What does it do? It boosts your dopamine level, right? That's the chemical in your brain that makes you feel good. It increases your metabolism. It helps with dealing with insulin resistance, recovery. There's so many benefits. It improves your body's production of brown fat, which is the healthy fat, which not only helps you keep you warm, but increases metabolism. Sauna is very similar. Sauna you can do for 20 minutes, 3 to 5 times a week. And sauna has been found to reduce all-cause mortality by 40%. It also does the same thing. It helps detoxify your lymphatic system and your kidney and your liver through your skin by getting rid of all the heavy metals and the toxins in your blood. It also helps upregulate your basal metabolic rate. It just feels amazing. So cold exposure in sauna. So these are just some of the incredible hacks that we talked about. I want to talk about one additional one that's really near and dear to my heart. You know, I talk about this a lot, and that's the importance of mindset and mental resilience. So how many of you have a daily gratitude practice? Anybody? I mean, it could be simply just getting up in the morning and going, God, thank you for this day. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to pursue my dreams, to spend another day with my kids, or do this fun thing I'm going to do today, whatever it is. Gratitude is one of the key habits of success, one of the 8 habits of success. I wrote my book, Change Your Mind, Change Your Destiny. You see, when you're in gratitude, you can't be in fear. You can't be in doubt. You can't be in frustration, anxiety, uncertainty. Pick the negative emotion. It's impossible to have 2 emotions running simultaneously in your brain. So why not choose gratitude? And gratitude, you can find it anywhere. I'm sitting here right now and I'm so grateful, even though I'm in front of a screen, I know I'm having a dialogue with each and every one of you, hopefully providing you information that's going to inspire you to make some changes in your life. You see, here we are, it's February, and we've spent the last few months really about up leveling yourself, your mindset, your business, getting your finances ready to crush 2025. And now we're talking about what you need to do physically and mentally to prepare, to get ready, to ensure you have all the energy and the health and well-being necessary to achieve those goals. Because it doesn't matter if you have big goals if you don't have energy. It doesn't matter if you have big goals and you don't have health. It doesn't matter if you've got wealth, but you're sick and you can't spend it and you can't enjoy it with your family. What matters the most, no one on their deathbed ever said, gee, I wish I had more money. No, like, God, I wish I would have made better choices. I wish I was feeling healthy right now. I'd give all my money away. In fact, there's been many, many billionaires that have spent ridiculous amounts of money after they've gained all their wealth, just trying to get healthy again because they've excluded that portion on their journey. Don't do that. Don't fall into what they've done. So gratitude, meditation, these are proven stress reduction tools that each and every one of us who want to live a triple P life need to implement to some level or degree. The next one is self-imposed adversity. What does that mean? It means I want you thinking about when you're training hard. I want you to think about fasting. I want you to think about cold exposure. All these things are hard. All these things don't feel good. Why do most people not do cold plunges? Because it sucks. I've been doing it for a couple of years and it still sucks. And there's some days it's worse than others. But the more you do things that suck, the better you are at building mental resistance. And when the suck happens in life, you've got a hardened core and shell to face it, to deal with that adversity. It's not running from the adversity that builds strength and courage. It's running to it that builds strength and courage. Even though in the moment you're feeling fear and anxiety, that's normal. It's okay. It's just embracing it, stepping into it. It makes you a warrior. And being a warrior gives you the confidence to overcome anything life throws at you. Also, is living with purpose and embracing your community. Studies have shown the more social bonds we have, the better the relationships we have, the more connected we feel by a community, the happier we are, the more joyful we are. And certainly, when you're living with purpose, and what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, for me, living with purpose is doing with what makes me happy, what I feel God has called me to do. And that's to inspire millions of people to live happier, healthier, more prosperous lives, whatever way that looks like. That's my purpose. And the fact that I get to do this here today with you and you get to listen and hopefully, again, maybe inspire you to make some changes or inspire you. You look at this and go, you know what, Jay, I do virtually all this. Awesome. I bet you there's one thing you can take away from this and still add. And then share it with someone else because you could be saving a life. That's my purpose. And you're my community, the Triple P Nation community, which is why I'm so excited. I love being a part of this. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. So cold plunges, ice baths, cold showers, it's incredible stuff. So let's talk about the next step. What can you do? Okay, here's my 10x revitalizing health and hormone roadmap. Number one, really simple. And here's what I'm going to do. I'll create a document. We will put it on our website. You can go there. In fact, you know what we're going to do? We're going to put it in the show notes. I will create the link. It will be in the show notes. Download this, put it somewhere, and choose and select one to start with. Look, if you can implement all 10 at the same time, rock and roll and go for it. But here's what I've learned doing 25 years of health coaching, right? And teaching wellness programs. Just add one thing. Look at this and see which one speaks to you the loudest. Add that one first. Build a routine and a habit with that first. As you begin to build good habits and routines, guess what happens? You push out the bad habits and bad routines. And then naturally look at the list and pick the one that speaks to you next and add that one. And eventually, in 2 months, 4 months, 8 months, a year, you're going to find out you're doing 4 or 5 of these every single day, every single week. And your path will continue to expand. You'll learn more. You'll add more of these. Eventually, you're going to be at that 10 out of 10 because it's there for you. It's real. It's not an illusion. It's within your reach. You just know how to grab it. I'm going to teach you. So number one, eat whole foods. Stay away from the box bag or canned crap. 2, prioritize protein and healthy fats and get your butt doing resistance training. 7 to 9 hours of sleep. If you can, if you've got a device that can measure your sleep so you can track it, seeing you're getting enough of REM and SWS, right? So your REM sleep is your physical recovery, your SWS, slow wave, is your mental recovery. Number 4, get your butt walking. Zone 2, get out in the sunlight at least once a day. Morning's best. 5, stop eating seed oils. The polyunsaturated fatty acids are killing your heart, killing your kidney, it's killing your liver, it's killing your pancreas, it's killing you. And guys, cut down on the alcohol, right? It's okay to have a beer. I love wine. I really do. Prior to holidays, I was drinking more than I should have. I really did. I had to self-reflect. Wait a second, man. Can't be doing this every night. I just have come back from California. I brought many cases back. I love wine. So I wanted to try this wine with this food, have this wine. And all of a sudden, I created a new habit. And that's not me. And so pump the brakes, self-reflection, self-awareness, stopped. It's been 7, 8 weeks now. So I'm not saying I'm never going to again because I love wine and plus I have a collection. I love giving away as gifts. It's fun, but I also like drinking it as well too. But just, I'm going to have standards, right? Get back to my standards as I had before. Number 6, guys, think about optimizing your hormones so we can help you optimize your recovery. So if you can optimize your hormones, you're going to be able to experience the kind of energy and life and well-being that, has probably eluded you for quite some time. So let me give you a website. And again, we're going to put this in the show notes. If you want to learn more, the website is revitalizinghealthwellness.com. Revitalizinghealthwellness.com. It's my clinic. My team's there. You can go to that website and hit contact us. Put your information in. One of my teammates will reach out to you and just have a conversation and see where you're at and how we can possibly help you. Now, I understand if you live, I know a lot of you people listen in England, loving you guys across the pond. We got people, of course, outside of Wisconsin, of course. Reach out anyway. We can help you maybe find a clinic in your area that does this kind of work. But this is really important stuff. The kind of stuff, again, that's life-changing. Revitalizinghealthhormones.com. If we can help you optimize your hormones, understand what your unique nutritional needs are, understand what your physiological needs are, help teach you and coach you through this process, it could be a game changer for you. Okay, number 7, we talked about start using a sauna, cold therapy. And by the way, you don't need to buy a cold tub. Just start taking cold showers. I know it doesn't sound great in the winter, but take your normal shower in the morning or evening or whatever, right? And at the end, take the cold water and slam it all the way back, or the water temperature dial, slam it all the way to cold. And just put yourself under it for 30 to 45 seconds. Count it out. I like to start at the back of my neck, the back of my head, and down my back. The studies show 30 to 45 seconds, 7 days a week, is the same equivalent of doing cold therapy 3 to 4 times a week at 3 minutes per submission. Okay? So the same benefit. Now, if you want to get a cold tub, great. It's awesome. Get one. But you don't need to. Number 8, I want you to think about reducing the toxins in your world and in your environment. Again, next week, metabolic disorders, we'll dive deep into this stuff. But think about how we can mitigate that, because we need to stop those endocrine disruptors that is destroying your well-being. Number 9, begin a practice of gratitude. Embrace adversity. Do stuff that are tough, right? Step into it. And 10, build a strong community and live with purpose. So look for this 10X Revitalizing Health and Hormone Roadmap. It is in the show notes. Click the link, download it, share it, spread it with everybody you can, and get started, man. Triple P Nation, the time to act is now. Not when you're in the hospital. Not when you're on blood pressure medication. If you're on blood pressure medication, the time to act was years ago. But that's past, so let it go. You only can do with what you know now. And as you learn more, take control. Don't give it up to someone else. Not saying they don't have your best interest in mind, but no one's going to mind your well-being more than you. So become an informed healthcare consumer. Reach out to people who are experts. Reach out to people who understand health, not the management of sickness, disease, and symptoms. Your health is your responsibility. And by the way, let me address this. There's a lot of people say, well, does insurance cover it? And the answer is no. And let me tell you why. Very simply, your insurance company has no vested interest in your well-being. So they're not going to pay for you to get well. That's your responsibility. Their responsibility is to get you out of crisis. What does that mean? Well, let's say, you go in with a 9 out of 10 pain. Their job is to get you from a 9 to a 6 or a 5. You're no longer in crisis, now you're in chronic pain. They have no interest in understanding what the underlying cause is of your issues, and therefore they have no interest in paying for it. So the more we understand and embrace your health is your responsibility and your financial responsibility and no one else's, you've now embraced a formula to take control of your health. And there's no middle person too in that regard. You don't have some insurance agent sitting at a desk telling you you can't do this or you can't have that. Who the hell are they to tell you anything? And the only reason they do it, it's purely based on model and profit, not based on human beings. So also, these are small implemented steps, daily habits. When you do so, this creates a massive long-term transformation. You didn't get sick today. You haven't become metabolically insufficient today. It is something that has occurred, depending how old you are, decades. It's going to take time to change. Here's the incredible thing, though, and we see this all the time. Not only myself, but all the people we get to work with. The change is incredibly fast. Sometimes it's in weeks, a few months. They feel like new people. People coming in crying. They can't imagine they would ever feel this good again. The kind of quality of life that they're experiencing. Thought they'd never be able to get on the floor and play with the grandkids again, or have the energy just to even go out and take their dog for a walk, or have the sexual desire to be intimate with their loved one, which they haven't been for months or years. We see it every frickin' day. When you change your habits and behavior, you change your physiology. Your physiology causes your cellular function to improve. Your cellular function causes every physiological function in your body to elevate, and eventually, if you stay consistent with it, to optimize. And that's what we're looking forward to do. And here's the key, guys. You don't have to be perfect. 80-20 rule, right? Do all the right stuff 80% of the time, and you can indulge from time to time. You get right back onto your good habits. If you do that, you can live the best life with the best energy and the best health, the best quality of life. And it's also about, look, I'm 60. My goal is to live to be 100, but not in a nursing home, not in a wheelchair, not with tubes running in out of me. I have no interest in that. I plan on hiking. I plan on biking. I plan on playing golf. I plan on traveling to the day I die. I will be doing those things as God is my witness and as my partner, because I know what it's going to take to do that. And you can too. You just got to want to. Let us help you. So download this article, keep it, refer back to it, share this podcast with friends or family. Because remember, great content should not flow to you. It needs to flow through you as we inspire other people to live a happier, healthier, and more joyous life. All right, guys, look for next week's episode on metabolic syndrome. Again, we'll get specific, we'll be general, recommendations. You're going to know more about this stuff than anybody you know, and you're going to be equipped to take action and to be informed. You'll be able to go to your medical doctor with this. You'll speak volumes and circles around them. They'll have no clue what the hell you're talking about because they've never been trained this stuff. But you'll be empowered with the knowledge necessary to be in control of your well-being and your future. So as I always say, guys, you be you. Just be the best you. And I promise you, with this information and all the stuff yet to come, you will always empower your dreams, ignite your passion, and accelerate your prosperity. Until next week, guys, please be well.